Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Professor Higgs. My name is Mike Thompson, and my presentation is on the pros and cons of SOX Section 404. Slide number 2. I would like to begin first with a brief overview of the major points of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. I will then like to proceed to discuss the major points of SOX Section 404 along with the pros and cons of SOX Section 404. I will then conclude with a summary of the major points of this presentation. Slide number 3, please. The SOX Act of 2002 was implemented and put into effect as a result of the major corporate and accounting scandals that occurred with Enron, WorldCom, and Tyco, to name a few. These corporate accounting scandals led to a decline in public and investor trust. In response, Paul Sarbanes, Democrat of Maryland, and Michael G. Oxley, Republican of Ohio, proposed this particular act, and it was passed by a unanimous vote by Congress. Slide number 4. A key differentiating factor of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was the establishment of the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board. Now, the PCAOB was established to oversee, regulate the audits of public corporations in the United States. Another differentiating factor is that the SOX Act has 11 major sections, ranging from corporate governance, enhanced financial disclosures, auditor independence, criminal penalties, and of course, internal control assessment, SOX Section 404. Slide number 5, please. SOX Section 404 requires mandatory reports on the adequacy of internal controls over financial reporting over particular U.S. public corporations and foreign corporations that decide to list their stock via American depository receipts here in the United States exchanges. Now, the mandatory reports must include a statement of management indicating that they are the ones responsible for the company's internal control environment and structure. Now, the statements that management disclose in these reports must also indicate the particular framework that management is using and has been implementing for the particular reporting period. Management must also provide a statement regarding their assessment as to whether or not they feel their internal control structure was effective or not. Now, the auditor portion comes in by way of an assessment report that they provide indicating whether auditors feel that management's assessment is accurate or not. If company management discovers material weaknesses, they must disclose this to the public. If one or more material weaknesses are discovered, this information must be provided so that the investment public can make their decisions effectively. Slide number 6, please. One of the major problems of SOX Section 404 are the costs. Unfortunately, they were 62% higher than anticipated back in 2002. For example, companies with revenues of $2.5 billion and up, on average, recognized a $3.1 million cost, as opposed to the $1.9 million cost they anticipated to spend back during the implementation phase of the SOX Act. Also, companies have continually reported that they are struggling to complete their Section 404 work on time. There's a lag time of approximately 5 to 6 months. So there's not only an additional cost, but an additional time burden as well. Now, the main reason why SOX was expensive to implement were the fact that companies had poor documentation and tests in place. And this has led to the realization that internal control structures for major corporations were not as effective as once thought. Going back and tediously examining financial manual and automated controls, unfortunately, is a tedious and laborious task. Slide number 7, please. Another negative aspect of SOX Section 404 is that it is driving foreign companies to not list in the United States. That is, there have recent studies have indicated decreases in cross-listings and increases in delistings. For example, in 2003, there were only 12 new cross-listings, the lowest since 1989. In addition, Level 2 and Level 3 cross-listings of American depository receipts in 2004 and 2005 were the lowest they've been since 1992. And moreover, since 2002, there had been an increasing delisting of foreign companies on American exchanges, and indicating that these foreign companies do not want to assume these costs, and they can just as easily go to London and raise the capital they need. Slide number 8, please. Now, the good things of SOX Section 404 and the recent studies have shown that there have been improvements in companies' reconciliation efforts and segregation of duties. In addition, companies are recognizing better control over their internal control environment. They have been able to identify root causes, which the majority of corporations have reported as being IT related. Companies have been able to evaluate their accounting risks more properly, and this has in turn created more confidence in internal control and reporting structures. Slide number 9, please. Studies are also indicating that investors are now more willing to accept unaudited data from companies, meaning that investment decision making could be streamlined. Investors are more willing to accept information that has not gone through a tedious attestation process with outside auditors, which is a good thing. Also, the studies have indicated that the costs have dropped significantly. For example, in 2005, in comparison to 2004, the Section 404 related costs have reduced by approximately 16%. In addition, auditor time required to attest these internal controls have decreased by approximately 12%. So there have been some economies of scale that have been accruing during the last couple of years, according to this 2006 study. The main reason why these particular savings are accruing is that companies have better in place systematic documentation of their internal controls, which are helping them streamline their efforts. Thus, the infrastructure is in place for companies to continue providing internal control revisions on a yearly basis. So, slide number 10, please. In conclusion, the SOX Act of 2002 was implemented as a report of corporate accounting scandals. Section 404 requires mandatory reports on internal control over financial reporting, and company management and auditors must provide statements to that effect. Now, the pros and cons of SOX Section 404, well, the implementation and the costs are still kind of high. Companies, unfortunately, are going elsewhere to source capital. However, recent studies are indicating that there are some cost savings, and companies are getting a better grip of their internal control structures, thereby assisting in improving investor confidence in U.S. capital markets and in U.S. corporations, which, in the opinion of many, continue to be the strongest and most liquid in comparison to other capital markets around the world. So, thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you and have a great day.